What's up guys, Kevin here from thesportsgeek.com, and in this video I'm going over my FanDuel NFL Week 11 picks. Before we move on to the Week 11 picks, let's quickly take a look at Week 10. I didn't have a great week at all. I had Tom Brady as my favorite QB. He had an okay game, 19.26 points. Doug Martin was maybe average at best, 12.3 points. Julian Edelman was my favorite receiver for FanDuel, and he actually got injured after putting up 7.3 points, so that kind of ruined me right there. And then my pick to avoid was LeGarrette Blount, and he ended up going in for a score and putting up 14.7 points. So I wasn't too upset with my play to avoid last week, as Blount didn't have a great game. He just got one carry from, I think it was the 1 yard line where he punched it in for the score. So overall, I wasn't too upset with that. I looked at the Millionaire Maker or whatever it's called on FanDuel, and LeGarrette Blount wasn't in the top 16 lineups. So it took 17 lineups for me to find him. So it wasn't like he was a great play at FanDuel last week. So I'm not too upset with giving out that pick as the player to avoid. Unfortunately, he did go in for the score, but that's all right. We move on to Week 11, where we look for a much better week at FanDuel. If you haven't already seen my DraftKings Week 11 picks video, go check that out. I gave out a lot of picks that I'll be using for FanDuel as well. I have them listed here, and the only two I'm going to be avoiding from that video is Brandon LaFell and Matthew Stafford, who are just a little too expensive on FanDuel for me to take. I'm still going to go with Carson Palmer, Larry Fitzgerald, Charkandrick West, Travis Kelce, Golden Tate, Lamar Miller, and the Eagles defense. All on FanDuel are all great plays. And then I've got a couple more for you in this video. So one of my favorite QB plays at FanDuel this week is Derek Carr at 7,700. He's not overly cheap at FanDuel, but he does have a great matchup versus the Lions. Detroit is 28th ranked in yards against per passing attempt, and Derek Carr has been having a great season so far. He scored 19 or more FanDuel points in 4 straight games. And I like his matchup versus Detroit, so I'll be taking him instead of Stafford here in this game on FanDuel. One of my favorite running back plays is Marshawn Lynch at 8,100. The Seahawks are playing the 49ers and should be running the ball a lot, especially if they get up in the first half. They should be just feeding the ball to Lynch, similar to what they did a couple weeks ago when they played the 49ers, and Lynch had 27 rushes, 122 yards, and a touchdown for 18.2 FanDuel points. The 49ers ranked 27th in total defense, and they're giving up close to 400 yards against per game. So even though we're paying up a bit for Lynch, I do like him this week at FanDuel. So here's a bit of a sleeper pick, James Jones at 5,200. He's got a 97% bargain rating on FanDuel this week. He's a very cheap receiver. He has 6 touchdowns this year and double-digit FanDuel points in 5 games. Rodgers hasn't been going to him a lot lately, and Rodgers is playing poorly. So I'm thinking Rodgers might go back to what he was doing at the start of the season when he was throwing the ball to James Jones quite a bit, and James Jones was putting up touchdowns. So I'm expecting Rodgers to start targeting James Jones a little more instead of always going to Devontae Adams and Cobb. So at 5,200, I think James Jones is a good flyer pick for this week at FanDuel. And then my FanDuel player to avoid. So I'm going to give this warning out every week. This player could have a big game. I'm just choosing to avoid him at FanDuel this week. Do so at your own risk. So Tony Romo is $8,000 at FanDuel. That's the 6th priced QB, and he's coming off an injury. He could be rusty. And right below him in pricing, there's Dalton, Ryan, or Carr, who I like much better than Romo this week. But if you do want to play Romo, I would play him at DraftKings, where he's much cheaper than he is at FanDuel. Alright guys, so those are my FanDuel picks for this week. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by clicking the thumbs up button on YouTube so I know to keep making them. And as long as I can keep getting around 500, 700 likes on the videos, I'll keep making them every week. And if you don't already have access to my free lineup tool, make sure you click on the link in the description below to get access to that absolutely free. It'll help you generate some lineups, and you'll also get my email updates with extra picks, usually on Saturday mornings. Alright guys, good luck on your FanDuel contest this week. Hope you win some money. Cheers.